Welcome to a new episode of the Baydoun Hack. And today I have a very special guest that I met very recently. Welcome to the show, Cecilia.
Thank you.
Nice to have you.
Yes, and it's funny that we met just recently, right? We've been in the business for so long.
Exactly. I'm sure we heard about each other a lot, but the fact it just didn't happen that we crossed paths and we
Yes.
were in London over a dinner.
Yeah.
It was a fun dinner,
Yeah.
and then you know what? Let's take this to the next level. Let's have a
Yeah.
podcast together.
I agree immediately, for sure.
Thank you for coming. Cecilia, I'm going to start with an obvious question that comes to the mind of people. First of all, you being an expert in the real estate market, you are a top executive in the industry. You've been in this industry for a certain number of years. The biggest question, what are the challenges of you being a woman in this industry that's male dominant?
Yeah, we talk about this quite a lot. I think I've been in a very fortunate position that I think whatever I achieved was down to meritocracy. I personally, and I know this is not a rule, did not have the gender as something that has helped me or put me behind. Um, I know that this is not necessarily how some people, they might face a different reality when it comes to, career ladder and being a woman in the industry. But I was fortunate enough to have crossed a path of people where there was mutual benefit on the relationship from a work point of view, and that has helped me, move through time. And I think as well because I've been pretty much throughout my career, I was running my own business. I think you develop a little bit of some hacks through life on from an entrepreneur point of view, where allows you to navigate relationships and your network a little bit better.
Interesting. I didn't know that you have your own business actually.
Yeah, I did. I did for many years. I run my own agency for around 15. I have a partner, had a partner at the time. But I set up in 2004 when the real estate law started here in the UAE,
Interesting.
Dubai specifically. Yeah.
And what would made you move from the having your own agency, and we all know like real estate agencies are very successful
Yeah,
nowadays,
absolutely. Yeah,
into the corporate world?
I think it was a particular life situation where obviously I was in a relationship as well.
Mm.
And that did not work out from, don't marry your business partner, they say.
It makes sense now. I got it.
And that was a little bit before COVID, so I decided at the time to consult. So I work with several developers in trying to enhance their customer experience. This is something I was very passionate about. But throughout that period, there was an opportunity, and I thought it was a great one. So that's why I made a change.
Interesting. Based on what you've seen in your entourage among your colleagues, female colleagues in particular, what do you believe the sacrifices that you had to make for you to be able to succeed and make it to the next level?
I think this is very personal, right? I think I was very career driven since I was very young. I started to work very early. So career work ethic for me was something important, something came from my home. I saw my grandparents work until very late at their age. So I think that model was something that was inbuilt in me. But of course, I made a decision even through motherhood that I wanted to keep my career. I believe some women sometimes they take a break, and sometimes that break puts them a little bit in disadvantage going back to the workforce. But I think when you're in the sales environment, because it doesn't matter what title. I think title is something you borrow, right? It's not something that belongs to you. I think we own sales, whether we like it or not. And I think that is one of the best industries to be able to articulate and develop and grow without limit, right? I think when you have a specific profession, sometimes you are limited to how much you can earn and limit to how big you can become. But I think in the sales industry, I think you have a lot of opportunity. So I think many things will hold women to become successful. I think we face a lot of judgment, um, culturally as well. Some cultures they will impose a little bit more restriction on women working than others. I think then you have family. Family always have a lot of input to what one should do. Some families will say you're better suited maybe staying at home. Some families will be more proactive on working, and all of it is valid and all of it is right. It's whether what makes you happy, right? So I think if a woman wants to work and they have the support system, they are likely to have successful. But if they don't have the support system, it creates doubt in your mind. So therefore, you might put yourself in a position of delaying or not succeeding as fast as you could if you had the support system.
Look, there is also a theory, and I'll be very honest, like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It says that usually the challenge of women in general, not every single woman,
Yeah.
but in general as a trend, is that women by nature they're emotional. So when it comes to executive decisions, just why you find less women being successful at the executive level,
Leadership.
yeah, at the leadership level in particular,
Mhm.
we're not talking about normal jobs,
Yeah.
and that can impact their common sense or their best judgment in certain situations.
I disagree. I think women have an ability to see things on a 360 level in so many additional layers than when you're making single decisions. I think most of the women that I have met on leadership positions, they have that inbuilt, that skill of also making decisions. In fact, I'm of the view that you make the decision and you apologize later, type of thing. But I think it comes down to the story and the support system and how that woman seem themselves. Because I was talking to someone the other day, sometimes other people believe in you more than you believe in yourself, right?
True.
It starts from the people around you, So if you have people that believe in you, that gives you the gas to keep investing yourself and improving. But I suppose a lot of women don't have the same opportunity necessarily than men. I think there are some industries, certain circumstances that will choose a man over a woman. But I think, you know, there is always a way. I think there are many cases of a lot of women that are driving, they're leading C-level positions, driving change in many environments that one would say would not be suitable, but they are. But I think it's growing. I think more and more there are more women invested on the workplace, and they want equal pay, they want equal. But in the end of the day, it comes down to meritocracy, right? I think gender is much less important.
Coming back to the real estate sector, and particularly the sales in this country, what do you believe are the criteria or the characteristics of the real estate product for it to be successful in this market nowadays?
I think that is the aspect of the trends of supply of demand, whether the numbers clearly show that there is a undersupply of townhomes or villas as opposed to apartments. So that's from a product point of view. But I think the wider question is what customers are looking for. I think customers are being more selective to what they believe should be in their homes. You see a lot of trends when it comes to developers now focus on different storytelling aspects of wellness to active living to living in a place that drives certain emotions. So I think that is what's driving a lot of people decision. Do I want to be after COVID, especially, right? A lot of people have moved. I need more space. I think where we have a challenge right now is the units are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The price per square foot is getting higher. So how do you manage that? I think today is quite rare to have people want big plots, but it's not easy to find new launches with villas or townhomes with a larger plots. So that's why the resale market is quite successful right now because that's the opportunity, and people are refurbishing and renovating old villas in the likes of the Springs, Meadows, because you do get a space that you necessarily not getting on new developments. But I think in general, I think people be more conscious about lifestyle, longevity, and I think developments are providing amenities that include aspects of well-being is something that people are really looking for right now in sustainability.
You just mentioned something very important is that because of the scarcity of the land, it's
Yeah,
becoming harder and harder to offer people larger plots.
yeah,
But personally, I could see that this applies on the overall Dubai market in particular.
yeah.
Because if you look at the empty lands within the 2040 vision that are still remaining not developed, those are not many. And the other challenge is that if you start developing deeper towards the desert, the travel distance between the city center of Dubai and that section versus Sharjah or Abu Dhabi will be higher, which doesn't make sense. So people will end up preferring to live in Sharjah and Abu Dhabi and commute on daily basis rather than living in those sections. So, how you believe this certain level of saturation in the lands market will impact the developers' model and the development industry?
I think today, you probably saw early in the year there was Finch has published a report about they think there's going to be a correction this year. And actually, in our podcast, we were talking with Property Monitor about the numbers, and there was agreements and disagreements to whether we think the point of view was right from a timing perspective. I think we need to consider as well. I think a lot of developers are not able to meet the handover dates of the projects, and this is causing a delay. So I'm not necessarily concerned in terms of supply, in terms of handover, because I think things keep moving throughout. There is a challenge right now from contractors and ability. But I think it's inevitable, right? I think as certain communities become more, not just from readiness, but become more mature, people are starting to identify what are the communities. And this has a effect on the price per square feet in general, right? Even throughout the cycles. You've seen throughout the cycles in the past, certain community held a better price than others, where you saw some of them a drop of 20%, where others you saw a drop of 2 to 5%. So as the consumers become more aware to where they want to live and what they become, this is also driving the decisions in the supply and where developers are positioning their products throughout the location. I think the UAE is becoming extra connected now, more bridges, more trains, and I think, where in the past living Al Qudra was not even a consideration for many people, now look at the corridor, how amazing it is. So businesses are also changing in terms of locations, right? Free zones are changing. Now with the airport, Macton Airport, there's a lot of trend of people moving toward the area where 5 years ago we would not even think moving to that direction. So the city keeps shifting, right? Also based on availability of land and new projects that not just drive real estate, but drive logistics. It drives work. It drives other aspects of what makes an area suitable to live. So it's a combination.
That's what you're saying definitely applies mostly on the secondary market and the supply and demand in that section. However, if you look at the model of the developers, it's based on the fact that you have a piece of land, you design it, you launch it, and you sell off plan.
Yeah.
The first item in the value chain is the land.
Mhm.
So when you have a problem in securing the land, you have a problem in the number of launches,
Yeah.
which is good for the market,
Yeah.
but it will become a challenge for the developers.
Yep.
Now, I'll tell you a theory and you tell me if you believe in that. Do you believe that we reached a certain level of maturity in the city where you have so many little empty lands that we're going to start seeing old buildings getting demolished and rebuilt because the price per square foot would justify that? Would you start seeing, for example, areas like Dera being completely redeveloped and a new Dera will be developed because now the price per square foot justifies something like that?
I think it's possible. I think it's reasonable to think that certain areas that hold high value and they became, icons in the city, that there will be always a remaster planning of especially when it's not owned by, it's owned by a group of people. I think there is always an opportunity for that. But I think we still have a lot to go. I think there's still quite a lot of the land bank is still significant from availability, even if it might be owned by specific developers, but there's still a lot to be developed. And I think developers are getting more conscious as well in terms of timing and right product, the right place, and listening to customers and looking at what they want to consume. The market is still very much driven by international markets as well, right? A lot of the buyers are coming from overseas. People looking to a mid to long term to move here or to have a second home. A lot of drive from millionaires and billionaires around the world into the UAE, as the data shows us, which is obviously helping.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the international drive is helping. And yeah, definitely for the public sector developers that already have a big land bank, like already the value chain is sustained. However, for private developers, this is where the challenge kicks in. Let's move to a completely different mode. Now, given your experience in sales, because obviously what's very interesting that you had your own real estate agency. What do you see that is the most common 5 mistakes that salespeople make on the deal table?
Ah, many. They don't listen. Number one, they come into a negotiation talking more than the customer. Um, they don't know how to lose. I always tell them you have to lose well because you might lose a deal, but you shouldn't lose a customer. And I think
Lose a battle but win the war.
yes, because that customer um, will refer your business if you've done a good job, right? Then it comes to ask for feedback. Nobody does. They go through a transaction, whether they lose or they win, they don't ask about what I could have done differently or even ask for a referral. They just go in shutdown mode, never to be seen again or hear from the agent. I think the other mistake is lack of consistency as well, how they approach their transactions. They leave a lot of mistakes on the line, or they don't give the enough attention to the customer. How many did they say so far? 4? 5?
Yeah,
Yeah.
roughly. Yeah.
So, look, sales is a science, right? I think the challenge that I see sometimes, people are very against learning. They believe they know all. And that mindset alone, it's when you put your ego above everything else, is detrimental. Now, we are in a very positive market. It does not take a lot of effort to sell a property, especially off plan. But things, eventually change. Things don't go up forever. The market gets more competitive. There's new generations of salespeople showing up very strong on social media, and you still have salespeople who don't want to be on social media because they think it's not needed. So there's so many things that will take the deal out of your table. Or if you were to follow, a consistent approach on what you do, you could have been doing much more than you actually are at the moment.
I agree. I agree. Actually, friend of mine who was also a guest in this podcast. I think you know her, maybe most probably, Aliza Sheglova. She said this actually in her agency. Off plan, she believes is mostly transactional. Real sales is secondary. This is where the agent will understand the market, the context, where is the closest school, closest mall, build the storyline, go understand all the finishes, doesn't get spoon fed all the information by the developer and go and sell, which is back to your point. Yes. Now, with the current market, keeping the development business on the side for agents to survive or to thrive, actually, they need to uplift their game. They cannot just assume that things are going to sell on their own. They need to educate themselves. They need to understand the product very well. And definitely, they need the right storyline.
100% agree.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay, Cecilia, I'm gonna now shift to a completely different dimension. Now, when it comes to the leadership level, okay, do you believe that someone that's made it to an executive level in real estate, in Dubai or in UAE in particular, do you think that's something that prepare you for a leadership level in any industry, or you think the set of skills that you learn and earn in this industry is specific to it?
I always say that a good footballer is not necessarily a good manager, right? And a good manager not necessarily was a good footballer. And I think the fact that you're good in sales doesn't mean you're a good leader, and vice versa, right? So I think you need to have certain skills to be able to manage a group of people. Because not only that, when you are managing people, they need to look up to you, right? If they don't think you know more than them, they don't feel that you add value to them, then that relationship becomes problematic to start. I think a lot of people they grow because maybe they are good salespeople, but they don't necessarily have the skill base to manage and monitor. And in fact, I think one of the challenges you have in hiring is mid management in real estate because
True.
normally you promote a good sales manager, but that skill base that we're talking about not necessarily is there. So sometimes they fail where probably they are the best doing what they know more, which is selling.
And you find them itching, like,
Yeah.
I see those guys, we promote them, and then they want to enter the deal room and close.
Yes.
Maybe relax. It's
Yes.
not your job anymore. It was your job. Let people under you handle it. But I know how to do it better. But your job is to teach him how to do it better,
Yeah.
right? Not
Yeah.
to go and do it on his behalf.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a new recent trend I'm seeing a lot actually. Over the last 5 to 7 years, a lot of agencies made a lot of money out of commission. And now every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to become a developer.
Mhm.
What do you think of this trend? Do you think this is something good, bad? Does it come with risks?
I think the market is matured enough to be able to accept new developers as long as obviously the process with escrow and the rules are followed, because this was not something that was there 10 years ago. So we've seen some developers who were not able to sustain. I think the question is, as you know, is cash flow, right? Ensure that in any particular moment, if he's not able to fully sell the developer in one day like everybody else, do they have the funds to keep going? Do they have the capacity of collections? Do they have the capacity to deliver what they are promising? So, if they don't have a track record, the sales becomes a little bit harder with the product. So I think it's inevitable. I think there's a lot of opportunities in the market, but I think from a consumer perspective, they should be more careful when selecting a developer who does not have a track record of delivery, and whether they are prepared to make that investment. I mean, there are good new developers that are coming with the right attitude, but like everything in life, you need to be super careful.
100%. What you said is spot on from the customer side. Because when you are new in the business, and the number one reason for bankruptcy in any business on the planet is cash flow.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the right cash flow, you could be in trouble with the moment the market flips. But let me take this to a deeper level of analysis. So the intention of the agencies to enter the development business because they believe it's higher in the value chain, they can make more money.
Yep, sure.
And it's not a secret because the data of the public development companies, it's very well known. Usually you make somewhere between 20 to 40% depending on the product, depending on the location. That's more or less the margin ranges in that direction. So let's take 30 for the sake of simplification. Okay. Now, what those heads of agencies, of owners of agencies do not understand, to achieve the 30%, there is a certain level of understanding of the product, how you design the product, how you increase the efficiency, because you buy GFA, but you sell sellable area. So how to increase the ratio of those? They don't understand all of that. How to you pay the contractor based on build-up area. So how can you increase the ratio of sellable area to build-up area? Without mentioning names, actually, there was one of my friends, owner of an agency, who launched his own project. And he showed me his design just 2 days ago before his launch. And he told me, Doc, I need your opinion. With pleasure. So he showed it to me. So I was wondering, shall I ruin his happiness and tell him the problems and the layout?
You did.
I did, actually.
Okay.
And the guy was upset because he made very simple mistakes for me, that those simple mistakes will cost him 200 dirhams extra per square foot. Why he doesn't understand? What's going to end up happening? He's going to end up not making the 30%. He's going to be merely making the 15% over the span to 3 to 4 years. Divide this, so he's going to be making around 4% per year. He was better off to put his money
in the bank, yeah.
Yeah, in SP 500, he's going to make 8 to 9%. So those guys, they don't take the game to the next level of analysis. Again, back to your point, which is very important. They could be great salespeople, running great sales agencies.
Yeah.
The moment you want to enter a new industry that's highly technical,
Yeah.
you need the right set of expertise.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's the point, expertise, right? And this is not necessarily new developers will have. I mean, again, hard to point, but in the end of the day, it's consumer perception, right?
100%. 100%. We met in London because of the $1 Million Listing Show.
True.
Now, you've been on season 1.
Yes.
Now season 2. I'm with you on season 2. We never crossed paths actually on the show. We just had the dinner together.
Yeah.
What's your assessment, or what's the difference between season 1 and season 2? What's the change in drama perspective?
I think I'll take a step back. I think the show, I mean, I've always watched the show throughout my whole real estate career. It's been now, I think they had 10 or I don't know, 15 seasons in the US,
Yes,
right?
but I think 17.
And I like the approach of the show because it's very, I would say, behaved to a certain extent.
And entertaining.
And it's, no, it's very entertaining, but it's really focused on the property and the value of the property and the negotiation. And actually, there was quite a lot of takeaways on the negotiation moments that I watched that, I really encourage salespeople to have a look. And I think what the show does is keeps putting the UAE real estate on the map because obviously it's broadcast overseas as well. And I think it's part where I'm associated with it. And I think it shows the best of what we have to offer, which not necessarily gets the best light, and people have the opportunity to see from a different point of view.
I think what you said is spot on because the level of maturity of the real estate market from a luxury perspective got really higher over the last 3 to 4 years. And with all modestly, I say that Damak had a big role in that within our territory.
Mhm.
What used to be considered as luxury 15 years ago in Dubai is not considered luxury anymore. As an example, Palm Jumeirah, currently you buy the price of square foot at more than 10,000 dirhams. However, you get the value, if the unit is not upgraded, of 3 to 4,000 dirham, which is the price at which it was launched
Yeah.
back in that time. Now with the new launches, there is a new completely different level of attention of details, selection of material, how you put the material together, how you overlap the material, how you end the material, how you create feature walls. So at least in our section of the show, we put a lot of emphasis on that because we know now that the customers are looking for that level of detail. The level of sophistication in the market is higher. And very importantly also is because there are a lot of buyers now are end users and not just investors. So when you buy a house for yourself, this is where you pay all the attention of the world to every single detail in the house.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right. And I think in season 2, one of the major differentiators is the attention of details to the pitch and the product and the qualities of the product.
No, absolutely. And as you know, we've been witnessing an increase on branded residences as well. And, which it kind of ties into service level, luxury level the customers are looking for, hospitality level. There's quite a lot in the market. Sometimes I feel customers don't fully understand the difference. They don't necessarily understand that sometimes you get into a serviced apartment or branded residence that you might not have that forever, that it could be on a term thing. So I think, the market's evolving, we're all learning, and it's just important that the word luxury became, outside the quality, but, perception of value, which not necessarily it's tangible, right? So doesn't mean that a branded residence is a luxury development, but everything seems to be luxury right now on all
Correct.
the marketing brochures.
As you said, spot on because luxury is relative.
Mm.
Very funny and small example, but it gives you an idea. I used to notice as an example the salespeople like around 5 years ago. Most of them they used to wear Rolex Datejust, that model in particular, which was the entry level Rolex, and everyone assumed at that point in time that this is luxury. 2 3 years down the road, you're gonna start finding most of them wearing higher end Rolexes, the top of the line, like let's say the date. Now you see most of them are wearing Patek Philippe, AP, or even Richard Mille. So what used to be considered just 40 years ago is now like considered below the level of the entry. And now the game is completely different. And that's on one item, which is a watch.
Yep.
The same logic apply on properties, on cars, experiences, retail, F&B offering in this country. The level of expectations in Dubai is extremely high. And I've never seen anything like it in the world, although I'm a very well-traveled guy. I'm not sure about you.
No, obviously we have the benefit of being driven by a market, by leadership that is always looking for the next best. And I think that drives keep us positioning ourselves where we are. And that's why so many people moving here, because why other economies and other places, it might not be necessarily looking into people's best interest. Here we have that. And that drive makes us wanting to do more all the time. Now, the luxury aspect is a little bit interesting because, as you said, what's important now, but I think a lot of developers still don't get it. Still, you see a lot of master plans where the designs are all the same. Most people, when they take handover, they feel they have to refurbish the whole thing because it's not how they would like to live. So I think we still have a long way to go in terms of executing luxury.
I agree. And so it's very important also and that's an advice for every single real estate property buyer. If it's too good to be true, I promise you it's too good to be true. So when the price is too cheap and then you feel that the same product is being offered by another developer that's more reputable and the value is higher or the price is higher, that also comes with higher specifications.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Something that you don't understand because he's going to see the sample material.
Yeah.
And he's going to assume that both are the same. The guy doesn't know. He's not a technical person. And then when the handover takes place, exactly like you said, but that's not what I had in my mind. Of course, no. This is you get what you pay for.
No, even if you get, I've just recently taken handover in Dubai of a property. Not gonna say from home, but when I look at the design of the master plan and what I got, like there was a community center and a pool next to my house, and now there's nothing. There's a park. I'm saying, where'd that go? So yeah, we're still even facing issues related to handing over products that is not what master plan wise what was told.
Yeah, 100%. Although obviously the rules and regulations of Dubai, they protect the customer,
Of course,
the
yeah.
buyer.
Yeah, you can always exit off your agreement.
Yeah, but the thing is, some developers are abusing it because the market is going up. So by the time the handover takes place, no one's gonna let go his unit because they know that already made good amount of
Yeah,
capital
obviously,
appreciation.
yeah.
But is this ethical? No, it's
No,
not. Of course, it's
no,
not.
no.
And will it harm the developer on the long run? Definitely it will.
Yeah.
No question about
Yeah,
it.
because there are new companies and there are new projects coming that are getting more sophisticated and people getting, as you said, showing customer the journey, not just from the brochure point of view, but the material sample, the thickness of the door, the height to ceiling levels, and getting a little bit more deeper on the experience of the product than before.
Yeah, yeah. Cecilia, I want to ask you now a few personal questions, and whichever you feel like skipping, feel free. It's not nothing too sensitive. Now, as far as I know, you're a single mom, correct?
Mhm.
And obviously, everyone knows what you do in UAE. What's your position? Obviously, achieving a balance between these two is a challenge, but
Yeah.
I believe you're doing a great job. So, how your day looks like? How do you manage, like from morning to evenings, from the moment you wake up till the moment you sleep, your day to make sure that you're ticking all the boxes at home and at work?
You don't tick all the boxes. It's impossible, right? I don't believe in life balance. I think
It's a myth.
it's a myth, and I think I was talking earlier. It's all about being happy, doing something you love. Because when you do something you love, then it becomes part of your DNA, who you are, right? And I think it's very personal, right? Conversation, because one person might feel that staying at home is the best and what makes them happy. I was always career driven. So for me, I need to find a balance where my children's happy and I'm also happy doing what I like to do. Because if I don't feel I produce, then I'm not leaving a legacy behind for them, then I don't think I'll be happy at home. So it's always a balance of things, but in the end of the day, you need to accept that what you do is for the good of their growth. I think the UAE is a wonderful place to live. I mean, communities are getting better and better where, you have friends who pick your kids, drop them, and you have a whole village to support you through the moments that you need. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world to raise my children.
Look, personally, again, out of experience, because also I'm a single dad, I fully agree with you. And the way I look at things is that the balance do not exist, but what matters the most is the quality of the time that you spend with your kids.
Yeah.
I've seen many dads and moms spending hours each and every day with their kids, and the relationship between them is extremely bad. Why? Because there's no quality.
Yeah.
If you have 2, 3 hours even per week but quality hours. You're building memories and experiences with your kids. Those are going to stay with them for life. And also at the same time, you're right. Like you don't collect money from the trees here in UAE or any place in the world. You have to work and to get it done and to secure a future for them, good education, investment in properties, investments to create passive income stream that will keep them secure on the long run.
Yeah.
Definitely, I believe that the right thing to
And
be done.
hopefully they will look at you and look at your work ethic and use that as a platform for themselves, right? Where they believe this is the way to go and they will also work hard, and whether they work for themselves or they work for someone, they find that as something important.
Yeah, I think they will, particularly in your case, because again, out of my humble experience, I see the kids are highly impacted by the mom more than the dad. No matter how hard the dad will try,
Yeah.
still the mom will have the number one impact on the kids. And obviously, they're seeing you working hard every day, you're being successful. Definitely, that's going to impact them positively.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, but success for me is being happy, right? I think, as I said, titles are borrowed, and we have no control of the future. But I think when you enjoy what you do, you come home happy. You wanna, and they feel that happiness, and it just creates that bond that not necessarily you have even if you stay the whole day at home.
You just put your finger on something that's extremely sensitive and very, very important. And I'd like also actually to dwell on this. Is the first time we talk about it here on the show. It's happiness, the definition of happiness.
Mm.
Because you see in social media, particularly in the real estate
Yeah.
sector, okay, what's happiness now is becoming a motto, like having the car, the watch, having the fancy outings. No, no, no. Although, and this is Dubai, and anyone like with a good level of success, not something extravagant, can be able to afford all of that. But
Yeah.
again, is this happiness?
No.
Because you do it once, twice, three times, then what? Then what? What you need to think of what makes you more happy. Like it's to me is exactly like what you said. Do what you like, be around the people that you love, and I like to have the simplest possible life as I can.
Mm.
Not at work, back home. And maybe the first time I see it because people see all of my fancy designs and the stuff that I launch for Damak. They think that my house is also is similar, whereas my personal taste is completely different because I don't impose my personal taste on the market's preferences.
Mm.
I'm a very minimalist. So back to your point, having happy moments with the people that you like and do what you like, I think that's happiness in simple terms.
That's success, right? That's,
Yeah.
I think, what success is.
Because I've seen, based on my interaction with customers, buyers, investors, many billionaires. I promise you, they're extremely miserable.
Mm.
Money cannot, they say money can buy happiness. I disagree. It cannot. It's very important. It helps you to live a good life. Definitely. I put it as a prerequisite. But can the happiness be got only by money? I don't believe that's true. I don't know. I don't know what's your opinion on that.
No, obviously it's not. But I think the problem is people tend to don't appreciate that where they are is probably, when they look at 10 years before, they don't realize they actually achieved where they are. But right now where they are, they think they haven't achieved the next 10 years. So you put yourself on that trap that you don't appreciate where you've become. And then because you're still looking on the future and what's coming, and that you don't have that. So you get into that trap that never ends. But I think when you start to realize that you are enough, you have achieved enough, you can still do more. It changes a little bit the way you look at things, and also accountability, right? When you stop blaming other people for things and you become blame yourself for your success and for your failure, life gets so much easier.
You know, what you're saying again is spot on. Because I've been just observing internationally, like which are the societies that are the most successful and why, out of curiosity. And again, I'm not someone that's against religion, to be clear, but if you look at territories like Japan, like China, they have like among the most successful economies in the world. Why? It's because in those territories, people believe they need to rely on themselves. They don't have anyone to put the blame on.
Yeah.
And then accordingly, they analyze their actions. This action led to that result. I want a different result. I need to change the action. It's as simple as that. This is how people do evolve, 100%. Because it's extremely easy, and I can see it like, and I'm sure you saw it a lot because it's extremely common. Particularly if you are someone that was successful across the span of your career. At every single milestone, you had those people that are telling you why you're working hard. It doesn't matter. You think that's gonna make you different. You're gonna end up the same result. I'm sure this took the place. Like my case, school. I was a nerd at school, so I used to have the #1 ranking. I used to hear all of that. School of Architecture, first master's, second PhD, work, and still the effort paid off. Why? Again, because you analyze the outcome, you identify the loopholes, you fix it, and you move on. If you don't do that, you will never progress.
For sure.
What was your two biggest weaknesses, or let's say one? What was your biggest weakness in the previous life that you managed to overcome and became maybe now one of your areas of strength?
I think it was consistency, understanding what consistency was. I think we always leave things for tomorrow, I'll do it later, but when you build consistency that is a non-negotiable and you make this part of your life at peace with it, not because you are, I have to go to the gym or I have to do this. I think you put a structure that allows you to speed and succeed in many aspects of your life. So that took time. And then self-awareness. I think when you start to understand a little bit more who you are and stop to listen the noise around you and other people's opinion and start to be in peace to where you want to be and, shut down the noise, that's also a good trait to have, I think, for happiness point of view.
Also, I agree with you. The problem is every single person, almost every single person that would give you a piece of advice, that person has an agenda and want to influence your action or your decision somehow, some way at a certain level.
Yeah.
Very, very few people, like could be your mom or your dad, that are so close to you and that will give you the actual honest opinion that comes with no agenda. You can take opinions from people and advices, but you have to filter. You have to always filter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you won't need an advice tomorrow, who would be the first person that you would call?
My mom.
Same.
I still call her. If I have a fever, so mom, I have a fever.
Yeah. It makes you feel comfortable, right? When you
Of course.
Yeah.
You need a security blanket, right? You need to go back to your roots and the people who help you, structure your DNA, your essence.
100%. And the problem is in the executive world, because as you said, people look up to us and they see us as invincible and indestructible, although we have our vulnerable moments. So I think the best way to express this vulnerability, and when you are back home with your mom, like in your own, safe zone.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I see leadership, it starts within any level. It's not attached to titles. I think it's about showing up for your colleague, helping someone else next to you. You don't need to be dependent of a title to become a leader.
100%.
I think the leader starts, from the ground.
I fully agree with you. Because usually, and the most common trend I've seen in the executive world is that people, they take the leadership, they assume the role, and they act as leaders, as proper leaders, and then the title will follow. It's not the other way around. That's in most of the cases. There are
Titles are borrowed.
Huh?
Titles are borrowed.
Bravo. Bravo. It's borrowed. Everything in life is temporary, whether it's good or bad, including the title. 100%. Nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
We're not going to last forever in this world.
No.
100%.
Good.
By the way, do you believe that we have a chance of increasing our lifespan as a humans based on the use of AI now in the research and development?
Funny you said that. I think I'm actually getting very involved from a curiosity perspective in longevity, right? Because we've been working a lot on projects on wellness and what does that mean? How do you actually translate this to something that actually has an impact? And there's so many tests now you can do, from DNA to, things that are not conventionally on the, when you go to the hospital, which gives you a lot of pathways. And I think when you start to look of, I suppose we're not perfect, right? So when we look at
Allergies, sensitivity.
yeah, when you start to look at your making, you start to see the red flags where you have certain tendencies or you're more exposed to potentially have risks here, and you start to treat those, whether with, there's a lot of trends now, longevity, exosomes, stem cells, and, I think we can hack our bodies. And I think as seen now, the new generation of people reaching now 70, 80, they're much more fitter. People are stronger, they're living longer. So 100%, I think. Even when I go to the doctor, I upload my test immediately in ChatGPT to see what does it say,
Our new best friend.
And 90% is aligned to what the doctor tells you later, So I think, yeah, AI is the future, Is how we're going to use it to our benefit is the question.
How do you think it's going to impact the real estate industry? Which areas of real estate will be mostly impacted by AI?
I think technology in general is cutting the middleman, right? This is the big question. And I see all this, debates where the brokers, oh no, we are invisible. The customer's always going to need us. I think they need to rethink the way they do their business, because if you're not creating value to people, then someone, whether it's AI, whether it's a website, someone's going to take away your business. And I think it goes back to ego, right? People need to start to remember that what you think and what the reality is two different things. So it's so important that brokers, especially people in the sales industry, understand that what is going to be AI or your competitor, if you're not creating value, technology is going to overrule. Because today people have access to price per square foot. What was the latest transactions? What's selling, what's not selling. They can download a brochure from a developer. They don't need you. So what is in the game that's going to make people want to deal with you is your ability to build relationships, to create value for people. Because if you're not doing that, you're going to be taken out.
100%. Do you believe that areas like sales or customer relationship in the real estate sector can be taken over by AI or robots? Like, can someone now, you believe, like a robot can sit with him, or let's say AI voice would call him,
100%.
accept to close?
100%. I do. And I think a lot of companies, again, are sitting in the era of, they haven't even figured out the customer service, let alone the customer experience. And people sometimes think customer service is putting bots and that will resolve. No. Yes, technology can be enabled to provide, you can go and buy online, you buy a car online, why are you not going to buy a property online, right? Tokenization, look at what's happening. People are buying 5 minutes by themselves, they don't need anyone. So it's coming. It's whether people accept or, again, goes back to create value. So customer service is just, ensuring that what you offer to customers, the baseline is done at 100% level, which is not even the case. Sometimes you cannot even get people through the phone to answer a question in many companies, right? Now, experience is the arbitrage for me. This is where that's why you have that connection with someone and you make them feel something. So if you're able to make somebody feel something, I think this is where you are winning from technology.
I agree with you. Do you feel that areas like finance, as an example, could be more impacted or will be impacted before territories or departments where you have interaction with customers?
Yeah, for sure. Finance, fintech, prop tech, all of this is revolutionizing, just real estate, but, other industry as well. Again, when you take a mortgage today, why do you have to sign 30 pieces of paper?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
So I think the revolution is coming slowly but surely. And obviously, again, the UAE is so pro digitalization, ensuring seamless customer experience that, you're going to be able to transact 100% in 24 hours, you say, of your unit without having, they're now removing developers from NOC. Like, there's so many new things coming that are, again, making the time frame. So what are the currency of the customer? Time, effort, and money. So if you tap into one of those trees, I think this is where you're winning.
Interesting. Cecilia, by the end, I'm going to ask you a few rapid questions.
Okay.
Personal. Nothing really alarming. It will be fun if you can answer them all.
Mhm.
Question number one. What's your biggest fear in the world?
My biggest fear, it all goes back to my kids. Make sure they have health and they are able to manage themselves. Because after 18, I'm gone. Like, here's the key. Now you drive the car by yourself. So get them to 18. That's the mission.
Okay, fair enough, fair point. Who's your idol?
Idol. Mom and dad, yeah.
Tomorrow, if you're gonna put you on an island and you have one person and one person only to live with you for the rest of your life, who would that person be?
Yeah, both of my kids, no doubt.
You cannot split. Okay, we cannot make an exception.
No,
But of course you can.
So it's a category.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. What's the only thing that you don't compromise on as part of your daily routine? You have to do it no matter what.
Pray.
Pray. Interesting. Interesting. When you go to gym, what's your favorite exercise? What's your number one favorite exercise?
None of them.
You hate gym.
I like Pilates.
Okay. That ticks the box. Okay. When you want to have fun, what do you do?
I go to the beach.
You're not a clubbing person.
Well, I like the new trend where the club finishes at 8 p.m. The coffee matcha parties.
Yeah.
That starts at 4, finish at 8. That's my kind of clubbing. Because you have to 5 o'clock, exercise, kids to school, work. So you need to have your 8 hours sleep.
Tell me one unusual thing about you that no one knows so far.
Unusual. I think everything's unusual. I'm very OCD.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're very OCD.
At home.
Okay, fair enough. What's your New Year's resolution? What are you planning to change in yourself this year?
So my year resolution was getting stronger, and so I've been working on that a lot.
You mean physically stronger?
Yeah. So taking care of my health, which was never a priority before. So that's where I've been focusing a lot.
Good. To me, that's music to my ears, obviously.
I'm sure.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. It was
Thank you.
pleasure
It was
to
my
have
pleasure.
you. It was so much fun. I hope that you learned today stuff about Cecilia that you didn't know before, and I hope that you got entertained by the discussion. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.